Da-na-na-na-na. What is up, Philly Fly Show peeps? Kicking in at Right Way Production Studios, and we are back. Took a couple weeks off here. There was a very early card in the morning at about 5 in the morning. It started at 2 a.m. and then the main card at 5. I did not want to do a show for you guys at a Friday night where you wouldn't have watched it. Had enough time to analyze what you wanted to do. It was a decent fight card. It wasn't anything spectacular, but it was a good UFC fight night. Didn't know that the next week I was going to be off and coming into here, so it feels like I've been out for 3 weeks, but back at it. Voice might be a little nasally today, a little under the weather, but hey, we're going to get the Philly Fly Show kicked off here. And today is not also just a good day for the Philly Fly Show, but in the UFC in general, because there's been so much news coming out. Couldn't keep up with it. Check the page for up-to-date stuff. I've screenshotted some things and filled out some things that I'm going to put on the page. I just haven't gotten out to it today yet. They will be out by the end of the day for some of the things, but the Philly Fly Show is going to have a podcast here, and I might even throw something out for Thursday Night Football because football season started today. And in those couple weeks, also, my Green Bay Packers have made an amazing trade for Micah Parsons. It's been a crazy couple weeks here. I got a Nintendo Switch 2, so my whole time has just been filled with so much stuff that I can't even describe. So we're here. We're going to talk about it. UFC Fight Night, Nasourdine Imavov versus Caio Borralho. Now, Fighting Nerds has got a guy in there, Caio Borralho, but you also got Mauricio Hufi, who's fighting on the same card. So Fighting Nerds are in there. They're ready to go, but it's a big fight coming from France. I don't know the exact location, if it's London, somewhere in France, but this fight's happening in France. So the prelims will start at 11 a.m. and the main card starts at 2 p.m. So it's an afternoon fight. Next week, it's a little similar. Next week is UFC Noche, but also not only UFC Noche, we got that Jamal Crawford and Canelo fight. Wow, almost forgot his name there. Just mind-blowing. Biggest boxing fight of the year. Probably the biggest boxing fight we'll see in years right now. So that's a good thing to lead up to, but because the UFC is also promoting that, well, technically Zuffa is, but because they're not going to have the event on at the same time. That's going to be their night show on Netflix. Is going to be the boxing fight in the late afternoon at 2 p.m. The prelims will start at 5 p.m. The main card will start, and the main card will end right when the other boxing card starts. So good setup for next week. But this week we're here for Nasourdine Imavov and Caio Borralho Fight Night. We'll jump right into it. It's match like number 14. Strawweight female fight between Shana Bannon versus Sam Hughes. Sam Hughes negative 320 favorite, where Shana plus 250 underdog. Now, Shana is how do you put this? She was a good up-and-coming prospect, had a couple setbacks, got a win under her belt now, and looks like she can tear off into the next part of her career. But then you get Sam Hughes, who lost weight, looks so much better than she ever has in the gym, and her last fight showed it. So is this going to be the new surgence of Sam Hughes, or is Shana Bannon going to upset her? I'm going Sam Hughes here. I just think the way she lost weight, the way she looks just 10 times better in the octagon, and her cardio took another drastic step up. I think Sam Hughes gets a big W on Saturday. All right, matchup number 13 is a welterweight fight. It is a don't-miss banger. Andre Gustafsson versus Renee Facarino. Now, Renee is a negative 105 favorite. Andreas Gustafsson, negative 115. Pretty much pick 'em. I said favorite. Sorry, guys. I did not mean to say the word favorite there. It's essentially a pick 'em with the edge coming to Andreas just because the money's coming in there. Now, what I will say, both these guys bring the fight. Renee's not afraid to stand and bang, but he's going to also be out there to look to win the fight. But if you've seen what we saw with Andre Gustafsson, he's got killer cardio. He's super strong. He's a freestyle fighter, so you just do not know what's going to be coming at you. I think Andreas gets his big win on Saturday. His UFC debut was big. This one's going to be even bigger and way more spectacular. 3 out of 5 on the confidence level. Andreas can get his hand raised. I don't know if I said the confidence level on the Sam Hughes fight, but Sam Hughes 3 out of 5 too on her confidence level. She can get her hand raised. Match like number 12, middleweight division fight. Brad Tavares versus Robert Brzak. Now, Robert made his UFC debut and didn't look too great. Brad's been on a semi-resurgence, but Brad is that typical fighter where if you said, hey, you could have a Brad Tavares career, but that's the type of career you're going to have, it's not a slouch career. It's one of those, it's where it's like an average guy gets into the UFC who is an average fighter, but takes off and does way above him what he was supposed to be, an average type of guy. So that's what I mean by his type of career. I love Brad Tavares. I think he's going to get with his old age too, older in age, been in the UFC a long time and had a lot of UFC fights. Brad Tavares is a good favorite. Negative 220 on Brad, plus 180 on Robert. I'm going Brad here all day long. I don't usually start out the night this confident in the first three fights, but Brad Tavares getting his hand raised because Robert thinks he's got that Polish power. He's got to show it. So Brad Tavares gets a W on Saturday. Ooh, man, I feel a little like I got the rookies back in me, a little jittery. Ooh, man, let's go. All right, matchup number 11 welterweight fight: Sam Patterson versus Trey Waters. Dude, this is a banger fight. This is. Each one of Sam Patterson's fights have ended in the first round besides his Dana White Contender Series fights. But all of his UFC fights have ended in the first round, even one where he got finished. Trey Waters, big striker, big hands, big power. It says Trey's 6'5". I don't know if that's true, but if Trey's 6'5" versus a 6'3" welterweight, that's just some crazy length and ability there. But it was a hard fight. I don't know if I'd pick one here, to be honest with you, to be super confident. I picked Sam Patterson to win. I just think that he can submit Trey, and if it gets to the ground, that's where Trey's going to have a tough time. So small advantage why I see why Sam is the favorite, so I'm going to pick the favorite here. 1 out of 5 on a confidence level. He gets his hand raised. All right, matchup number 10, Harry Hardwick versus Kane Fernandez. Kane is a negative 190 favorite. Harry's making his UFC debut, but it is in his home country, so it could be a big night for him. He's a plus 160 underdog. You can go whatever way you want on this. I almost flipped the coin because the only difference is Fernandez has got the skill to be there. I do not know if Harry does. But Harry's got a good amount of title fights, but I don't know the promotion that well, so I can't tell you if they're hard fights, if they're easy fights. And Fernandez has a couple UFC wins under his belt. So I see why he's the favorite. I picked Fernandez as the winner. 1 out of 5 on the confidence level. He getting his hand raised. Matchup number 9 is a heavyweight bout. It is a pick'em between both guys. It is negative 110 split down the middle for him. Marcin Tybura versus Ante De Gea. Now, De Gea's making his UFC debut, but he fought in PFL and had a couple of good fights in PFL. Did not have had a good fight win his last win, but it wasn't in the PFL. So I don't know where I stand on this one with this guy. Marcin Tybura, always when I pick against him, he gets a W. Every time I pick for him, though, he loses. I like Marcin's skill set. I didn't like Ante De Gea's skill set to come into the UFC. Both on the older side, too, so it's a heavyweight fight. It could go either way. I'm picking Marcin Tybura just because I think he's way more well-rounded. We're going to see takedowns and stuff from him. So good fight there. 1 out of 5 on the confidence level that Marcin can get his hand raised. That's going to be 4 fights after this one right here. That's not a very high confident. You're going to see why. Matchup number 8, light heavyweight fight. Omar Sy versus Benson Ribeiro. Brenson is a plus 350 underdog. Sy is a negative 500 favorite. I don't like the odds in this one. I get Sy is the hometown kid. He's from France. He's fighting a guy who is just a killer and has fought killers and had very crazy light heavyweight brawl. I do not know if Sy is going to be able. Sy's going to have to put this guy out because this dude will take strikes to give strikes, and that's not Sy's department. Sy's more of a end of the striker, grappler, more well-rounded. So if he can get Benson Ribeiro to the ground, that's where I don't know Ribeiro's skill set too well. So Umar Sy can do that. That's where he gets the advantage. I just don't like these odds. This is a don't bet fight for me unless you're betting the Ribeiro side. If you're betting the Ribeiro side, it's pure risk. you bet a negative 500 favor, you think he's going to win. This is not that type of fight for me. So, going to pick Sai to win, but I'm not very confident in it. 1 out of 5 on the confidence level that he can get his hand raised. The only reason I think he can get his hand raised is because of the grappling and ground game. All right, featherweight bout for your feature prelim bout. Match like number 7, William Gomez versus Robert Raluca. Now, Raluca is a plus 225 underdog. William Gomez, negative 275 favorite. Look, man, Gomez has got that skill. This is a big, big fight for him because if he can get a win here, he can start climbing up those rankings after this and get some bigger names on his under his belt. I think William Gomez gets a big finish, read my words, finish on Saturday. Feature prelim bout. Let's go, William Gomez. All right, we'll jump to the main card here. It's going to be really quick, pretty quick podcast here because it's not the biggest card. It's in the afternoon, or in the morning / afternoon. So not a lot of people are going to probably bet on this. And with the NFL returning this weekend, college football being amazing, it's just going to be fun. So we'll jump into it. Matching number 6, featherweight bout. Patricio Pitbull versus Lucena Carita. Now, Lucena is a negative 225 favorite. Patricio plus 185 underdog. Look, this will be Patricio's 3rd fight this year. I think the tires are starting to get going for his UFC run here. Big guy to step in here to make sure this fight stays on. I'm going Patricio Pitbull. I just think he's going to be too well-rounded for a guy to make his UFC debut against a guy like that. Pitbull, big win on Saturday. 3 out of 5 on the confidence level. He can get his hand raised. Matchup number 5 is a welterweight fight between fighters that I only know one side of. I don't know the other side too well, and I was looking into it. It's a little different. Alex Sola versus Rice McGee. McGee is a plus 110 underdog, whereas Sola is a negative 130 favorite. Not too big of a favorite, not too big of the odds difference here. But to make your UFC debut against a guy who's highly touted, he's only 1-2 in his UFC career, but he's fought some good guys. Sola's got a bunch of title fights under him, but again, what type of promotion is that? I think also Sola might be a hometown kid here, but McGee, Ireland's guy, I think he can get his hand raised on Saturday. I think it's too big of a vet to give a UFC debut. Not in a sense if you look at his record, but if you look at his skill set in the eye test, McGee's going to get his hand raised on Saturday. 1 out of 5 on the confidence level. He can do that. Matchup number 4 is a lightweight. Matchmakers do a good job sometimes, and then there's these fights where they're a good fight on paper, but what's going to play out here? Borralho Oki versus Mason Jones. Mason Jones, negative 135 favorite. Oki, a plus 115 underdog. Look, Oki's got the physique to scare the hell out you, and he's got the power shots to scare the hell out you. Mason Jones rendered his first UFC fight debut. He had to take a decent amount of time off for a bad injury when he was supposed to make his UFC debut. Then fought in Iowa to fight Jeremy Stephens. Beat Jeremy Stephens, which at that point of his career, Jeremy Stephens isn't the same guy, but Mason Jones needed a test. That was his test. Now here's his up-and-coming prospect guy who's going to be at the same level as him. That's why the odds makers got it so good. I had a hard time picking here. My reasoning to go with Mason Jones, who I'm going to pick here, grappling. He's well-rounded in the grappling department. Very good striker, but better on the grappling side. Oki struggled a bit against Duncan, so I think that's going to be Mason Jones' game plan to get his hand raised on Saturday. 1 out of 5 on the confidence level that can happen. Next 3 fights are big fights, guys. Light heavyweight fight between matching number 3, Modestas Bukauskas versus Paul Craig. Paul Craig is no slouch. He's just at the end of his career, and it's just not looking good at the end of his career. He's a plus 280 underdog. Modestas Bukauskas has got that skill set to go forward in the light heavyweight division. He's a negative 370 favorite. Bukauskas is so well-rounded that I don't think the grappling is going to be too much of a worry for him. I don't think he gets on top of Paul Craig because Paul Craig is so good from his back. But when they're standing up, it's not going to be an even fight because Modestas Bukauskas has got striking and power, and those striking and power are very accurate. So it's going to be a long night for Paul Craig. Modestas is going to get a big win on Saturday. 3 out of 5 on the confidence level, and he get his win on Saturday. Lightweight bout for your co-main event of the evening. The co-main event is just a banger. Just woo, woo, woo. You're going to be hearing cheers. You're going to be hearing boos. Hometown kid in there, and Benoit Saint Denis versus Mauricio Hufi on the Fighting Nerds. Mauricio Hufi a negative 180 favorite. Benoit Saint Denis plus 155. I want to pick Benoit Saint Denis so bad because his last two losses are against brawlers that he just one he respected and got caught, obviously in Dustin Poirier, but two was when he fought Rene Moicano. He did not respect Moicano. He thought he was just leagues and above him. He was not. That was his downfall. But then when he fought this last kid, this is what makes me just go to Mauricio Hufio's side, and I had to switch the pick once I wrote it down. Because I did initially pick Benoit Saint Denis, like I said, but I switched it to Mauricio Hufi for this reason. One, Hufi's power, good striking. He's inventive, though, like in the middle of the fight to throw that spinning elbow that he wasn't throwing to get the knockout his last fight. It's pretty insane. I think he does something similar there where he's going to have to do something to put him out. But even that guy who took it on short notice and brought the fight to Benoit Saint Denis, you can see that the strikes are going to get to him. Mauricio Hufi's power is going to be too much for him if he lands. For me, this fight is whoever lands clean right from the beginning is going to win this fight, and I think Hufi gets it. But it's only 1 out of 5 on the confidence level that he can get his hand raised. Main event of the evening is a banger. It's a banger in this sense. Imavov is good on the ground. Nobody tests his grappling whatsoever. But then you got Caio Borralho, who is going to test his grappling. So we're finally going to get to see if he's at that level that everyone keeps saying that Imavov's at. The striking is going to be the evident one here. My buddy, like I said in the last, for the co-main event, it's going to be the same thing here. Whoever lands that clean strike and goes for the grapple and denies the grapple is going to win that fight. I see this a little differently. I think it's going to stand up on the feet the whole time. I don't actually think Caio Borralho. I think Caio Borralho actually might test grappling right in the first round, but if it doesn't go successful for him at all, he's not going to use it, and they're just going to stand and bang, and that's where I think Imavov's power is going to be too much for him. Imavov plus 110, Caio Borralho negative 130, but Imavov getting that win on Saturday. It's going to derail the hype train in Caio, unfortunately. Nobody is going to be able to stop him. Those hands are brutal. They maybe not be the fastest, but if you saw that Israel Adesanya fight, Israel was bringing it to Imavov that first round, and it wasn't looking so good on Imavov. He switched to one little tiny part of his game because he's like, I'm not as fast as Israel, even though a bunch of people are trying to tell me he was as fast. I don't think he was as fast. What he switched was he's like, fine, you're going to hit me with a shot. I'm going to hit you with that counter, and I'm going to step into it, and that's where the power is going to outlie to beat Caio Borralho on Saturday. Don't miss this card, guys. It's a good fight. Bet. Just bet on it. Get your interest into the betting because once you do that, it's going to be a better event for you. All right, shout out to Right Way Production Studios for always making this happen, and we are out of here. We'll see you next week for UFC Noche.